Hello everyone and welcome to the biology lecture series, and today we'll be discussing the topic respiration. So in the previous lecture I've given you a brief idea about the respiration, how can we define the respiration, then we also studied about the metabolisms, okay, and what are the two components of the metabolism. One was anabolic pathway, another was catabolic pathway. And then we studied about the types of respiration. So we studied about the external respiration, internal respiration, as well as the aerobic respiration. In that, we studied about the Krebs cycle and we studied a little bit about the glycolysis also. Okay. And then in the end, we also studied about the anaerobic respiration. So during anaerobic respiration, there is no utilization of oxygen, whereas during aerobic respiration, there is utilization of the oxygen. And what is produced? Carbon dioxide, water, as well as energy is released in huge amount during the aerobic respiration, and very less energy is released during the anaerobic respiration, which is also known as fermentation. Now, we have also studied about the types of the anaerobic respiration, which were alcoholic fermentation, which takes place in the yeast. And then we also studied about the lactic acid fermentation that takes place in the lactic acid bacteria, such as lactobacillus. And it also takes place in the muscle cells during the vigorous exercise, where there is lack of oxygen. Now, in this session, we'll be discussing the rest of the topics. So in the previous session, I've told you we will study about the cellular respiration, respiration in plants, and then respiration in animals. So cellular respiration we have already discussed during the aerobic respiration. So cellular respiration takes place at the, or you can say it takes place within the cells. So what happens there? The respiratory substrate such as glucose, they are broken down in the presence of oxygen or in the absence of the oxygen. And what was being produced? Carbon dioxide, water, as well as energy was being produced. So that is known as the cellular respiration that is happening within the cells. Now we'll discuss about the respiration in plants, how plants respire. So plants don't have any specialized organ. Okay, they lack specialized organ. If we talk about the animals, they have specialized organ, but these plants, they lack the specialized respiratory organs. So how the exchange of gases takes place in the plants? So they have special structures known as stomata and the lenticels through which the exchange of gases takes place. Now, in plants, the exchange of gases takes place from leaves, stem, roots, okay, individually. So in plants, all the, you can say, organs. So these are the organs of the plant. So the entire plant can do the photosynthesis. Okay. So these are the plant organs, or you can say most of the parts of the plant or most of the organs of the plant, they can carry out the exchange of gases. So in leaves, what are present? We already know in leaves, stomata are present. So these stomata, they are involved in the exchange of gases. Then if we talk about the stem and the roots, here lenticels are present. Okay, we'll talk about stomata and lenticels in the upcoming slides. So these structures help in the exchange of the gases. Now the transfer of the respiratory gases from one part to another is very less or at very slow rate, and the exchange of gases in the plant occurs by simple diffusion. So we have already discussed in the previous lecture that the exchange of gases is done by the phenomena of the diffusion. And for the diffusion, what is required? A concentration gradient is required for diffusion to take place. So diffusion will happen from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Okay, this is known as diffusion. It takes place from a region of higher concentration of molecules, okay, higher concentration of molecules to the lower concentration of the molecules. So this is the direction of the movement of the, you can say, the gas particles or the molecules. So exchange of, you can say, oxygen as well as carbon dioxide, it takes place by the process known as simple diffusion. Now, let's talk about the respiration in roots, how respiration in roots takes place. Now, in young roots, the epidermal cells are extended to form the root hairs. So what are root hairs? Root hairs are the extension of the epidermal cells. Okay, and these root hairs are involved in the uptake of water also, and it is also involved in the exchange of the gases. So what is the function of the root hair? First function will be exchange of the gases. Okay, means the exchange of the carbon dioxide in the water, and second function is the uptake of water. So they are also involved in the absorption of the water by the process known as osmosis. So here, by the phenomena known as osmosis, uptake of water takes place and exchange of gases takes place with the help of the phenomena known as diffusion. Okay, now these root hair, they remain in direct contact with the air spaces in between the soil particles. So between the soil particles, there are some air spaces, and in that air spaces, the air is present. The oxygen and the carbon dioxide are present. Now the oxygen from the air, it enters into the root hair by the process of simple diffusion, and it reaches to other cells of the root for respiration. So respiration requires oxygen. If we talk about the aerobic respiration, it takes place in the presence of the oxygen. So the oxygen, it moves inside the root hair from the atmosphere, or you can say from the air spaces present between the soil particles. All right, and then this oxygen enters into the tissues where respiration can then takes place. So this is a diagram showing you the phenomena of respiration in roots. So these are the epidermal cell of the root. Okay, and what are root hair? They are the extension of the epidermal cell. These are the soil particles, and these are the air space present between the soil particles. The root hairs are present like this inside the soil, and they can absorb oxygen here. Oxygen can enter here by the process known as diffusion. And this oxygen can then be used in the process of respiration, thus generating energy. And similarly, carbon dioxide also moves out of the plant. Okay, and it can also move from the stomata also. Now, in older roots, a protective layer of dead cell is present, which have tiny openings known as the lenticels. So we were talking about the lenticels. So these lenticels, these are present in the roots, they are present in the stem. So where they are present, they can be present in the roots, okay, as well as the stem, and they are also present in the fruit wall also. Okay, so what are these lenticels? These are the raised pores through which exchange of gases takes place. So what are lenticels? Lenticels are, they are nothing but they are raised pores present on the surface of the root stem or fruits that help in the exchange of the gases. Now diffusion of oxygen takes place through these pores, and carbon dioxide is released out through the same, means through the lenticels. If we talk about the respiration in leaf, how respiration in leaf takes place? Talk about respiration in leaf, it takes place with the help of stomata. And what are stomata? Stomata are also tiny pores which are present on the surface of the leaf through which exchange of gases takes place. Now, stomata, okay, they consist of the guard cell, okay, and these guard cell open or they close and thus allow the exchange of gases, and it also allow the transpiration also, means the loss of water in the form of water vapor. This is known as transpiration. Okay, so if we talk about the dicot, so dicot plant, the guard shape are kidney shaped or bean shaped. Okay, so this is the structure of the guard cell. These are the guard cell, and this is how the stomata looks in the dicots. So in dicot, the guard cell are kidney shaped or you can say bean shaped. Whereas if you talk about monocots, in monocots, the guard cell are dumbbell shaped. So these were in dicots. If we talk about the monocots, the guard cell looks like this. It is dumbbell shaped. Alright, like this. Another guard cell will be present here, which is again dumbbell shaped. Okay, so this is known as the stoma, also known as the opening. So these are dumbbell shaped guard cell. And these are present in the monocots. Clear? So this is how respiration in leaves takes place, through stomata. And stomata are present where? They are present in the epidermis or the epidermal layer. Clear? Now let's talk about the respiration in the stem. How respiration in stem takes place? Again, takes place with the help of the lenticels. Okay, and if we talk about the herbaceous plants, so herbaceous plants are usually green. So in herbaceous plant, the stem have the small openings in their epidermal cells known as the stomata. Okay, we have already discussed about the stomata in dicots and the monocots. So if we talk about the herbaceous plant, here the stem, okay, it is quite green and it consists of the stomata which are present in the epidermal cell. Now the oxygen from air enters through the stomata and carbon dioxide is released from the same. So we can say stomata, they are involved in the exchange of the gases. Now in hard and woody stem, what is present? Instead of stomata, lenticels are present. Okay, so in hard and woody stems of the big plants and trees, lenticels are present in place of stomata through which exchange of gases takes place. Clear? So this is how respiration in stem takes place, through stomata as well as through lenticels. Now let's talk about respiration in leaves. We have already discussed about this. Now the surface of the leaves, they possess numerous tiny pores known as stomata, which are present in the epidermal cell. Now the exchange of the gases takes place through stomata, and when carbon dioxide concentration in the cell increases, stomata will open and carbon dioxide is released out by the process of simple diffusion. Okay, so diffusion is a passive process. There is no energy required here. So that's why it is known as the passive process. Clear? So if this is the epidermal layer, so this is how stomata looks. If this is the epidermal layer is the outermost layer. Stomata are present here. Okay, I've told you they look like bean shaped in dicots, and again these are the epidermal cells. You can also say, so these ones are the, you can say stomata, which consist of the guard cell, or you can say what are stomata? They are the modification of the epidermal cell. So some epidermal cells are modified. So we can also say they are the modification of the epidermal cell. Okay. Now let's talk about one experiment that was done to prove that the carbon dioxide is absorbed during photosynthesis and oxygen is released during the photosynthesis. Okay. Now in this experiment, what was the requirement of this experiment? So KOH solution was used. Okay, potassium hydroxide solution. It was taken in a U tube. Okay, so this setup consisted of a U tube. It consisted of two wide mouth bottles. It consisted of a plant, a bell jar, and a black cloth was also used to check the rate of photosynthesis. So the plant was covered with a black cloth to avoid photosynthesis. So photosynthesis required the sunlight. So to avoid the photosynthesis, the plant was covered with a black cloth. Now in photosynthesis, what happens? Carbon dioxide is fixed. Carbon dioxide is used and oxygen is evolved. Okay. So here the setup consists of a KOH which was taken in a U tube. Then lime water was taken in two wide mouth bottles. A plant was kept here in a bell jar and this bell jar was covered with a black cloth. Now what happened? During the daytime, okay, when there is lot of sunlight, the light intensity is very high, the potted plant is covered with the black cloth to check the photosynthesis. So we are not allowing the plant to carry out the photosynthesis, means no carbon dioxide is being absorbed from the environment. Okay, and no oxygen is also being synthesized, but we are here concerned about the carbon dioxide. Now the apparatus is made airtight, okay, by using the instrument known as aspirator. So aspirator, what it will do? It is an apparatus for producing the suction. So it will suck everything and it will create a suction. Okay. So the apparatus, this setup was made airtight by using an aspirator. Now, after some time, what was observed? It was observed that the lime water of the second bottle, I'll show you the setup. So there was first bottle and there was second bottle. So what was observed? So this was the observation. Okay, this was the observation. And these were, you can say, the requirements. Or you can also say it is the setup or experimental setup. Clear? So what was observed? After some time, it was observed that the lime water of the second bottle, it turns milky. Okay. Why it turns milky? In the presence of the carbon dioxide. So if carbon dioxide is present, then the lime water will turn milky. So in presence of carbon dioxide, the lime water will turn milky. Why it turns milky? Because whenever carbon dioxide reacts with the lime water, it produces a white solid which is known as calcium carbonate. So CaCO3 is calcium carbonate. That gives the milky appearance to the lime water. Clear? Now, what was the explanation? So the explanation for this is that when the water comes out from the respirator, so I'll show you, okay, the setup. When the water comes out of the aspirator, the atmospheric air enters into the apparatus through the second end and passes through the U tube containing caustic potash into the tube containing the lime water. So what is the role of this? We have added KOH here. Okay, so this caustic potash, what is the role? It absorbs the carbon dioxide. It absorbs the carbon dioxide from the air. So whenever the air passes through this caustic potash, then from the air carbon dioxide will be absorbed. And if this air passes through the lime water, then what will happen? The lime water will not turn milky because no carbon dioxide is present. Okay, so this is the role of the caustic potash. It absorbs the carbon dioxide. Clear? Now the caustic potash absorbs the carbon dioxide from the air. Thus the carbon dioxide free reaches into the lime water, and the lime water will not turn milky because there is no carbon dioxide present here. Carbon dioxide has been absorbed by the caustic potash. Okay, now I'll show you the entire setup, how the setups look like. Okay, now what does this indicate? It indicates that the air does not contain any trace of the carbon dioxide. Now when this air reaches into the lime water of the second bottle, okay, then through a bell jar which has the potted plant covered with the black cloth to check the photosynthesis, it turns milky. Okay, because there carbon dioxide is present in the bell jar. Okay, so this proves that carbon dioxide is evolved during the respiration. So here the plant is present in the bell jar and the plant is doing respiration. Okay, and you know, during respiration what is produced? Carbon dioxide is produced. Now the air contains the carbon dioxide, and when this air passes in the second bottle, okay, then there the lime water will turn milky, and this proves that carbon dioxide is evolved during the respiration. So this is a experimental setup showing you that the carbon dioxide is evolved during respiration, okay, and not during the photosynthesis. Clear? So this is the setup that was done. So here you can see this is the U-shaped. So this is the U-shaped tube that contained what? It contained the KOH, caustic potash. And what was the role of KOH or the caustic potash? It absorbs the carbon dioxide. So we can write here, it absorbs carbon dioxide. Okay, and then I've already told you the setup also consists of this lime water. So this is the lime water which are present in two white bottles. Okay, so two white bottles consist of the lime water and this U tube consists of the KOH. Then this is the bell jar. Okay, this is the bell jar that consisted of a plant, and this plant is undergoing respiration. Okay, so here carbon dioxide is being generated, it is being produced by the process known as respiration. Okay, here which process is going on? Here respiration is going on. All right, we can write the plant is respiring. Because of this respiration, carbon dioxide is being produced. Now here you can see the aspirator. So this aspirator, okay, it creates the suction and the water is taken up. Okay, and this, when there is a suction created here, then what happens here? A suction is created with the help of the aspiration. The air enters here. Okay, so this air, it consists of the carbon dioxide. Okay, and then what will happen? Here you can see this carbon dioxide is absorbed by the caustic potash, and here the lime water will not turn milky. But then the air passes through this bell jar, and in bell jar the plant is respiring, it is producing carbon dioxide, and this water will turn milky. Okay, so this will turn milky. Clear? So this setup shows that the respiration, that the carbon dioxide is evolved during the respiration. Now respiration in animals takes place as a single unit. They have different types of organs for respiration, due to which mode of respiration also varies according to the organism, but the basic mechanism is same. Now if we talk about the evolution of the respiratory structures, if we talk about the phylum Protozoa to Netophora, so they have respiration, they do respiration through the general body surface. If we talk about the platyhelminthes to nematodes, here what happens? They are mostly anaerobic. If we talk about the phylum Annelida, which consists the earthworm, Here, cutaneous respiration takes place. So, cutaneous respiration takes place through skin. And then, if we talk about the phylum Arthropoda till mammals, here specialized respiratory organs are formed, which are known as trachea, gills, and lungs. So here in this table, I've shown you the type of respiration, organ involved, and the example. So cell surface respiration takes place through the body surface in amoeba and paramecium. Tracheal respiration through the trachea and the tracheoles in insect. Brachial respiration takes place through gills in fishes. Then cutaneous respiration occurs through skin in frog. Pulmonary respiration involves the lungs. It takes place in the amphibian, reptiles, and birds. And buccal respiration takes place in the buccal cavity. Now, these are some important characteristics of the respiratory organs. They have large surface area to get enough oxygen. They have thin walls for easy diffusion of gases. And they have rich blood supply for the transport of the respiratory gases. So this was the end of the session. We will discuss about rest of the topics in the next session. Thank you very much for listening.